and my name is Edward Pabi. And in this video, we'll be looking at attribute selectors. So, attribute selectors allows you to select HTML elements based on their attribute. So, when we go to our HTML page, you can see that we have so many anchor tags containing links. Okay, so what we want to do is that we want to use the attribute selectors to select any of these links and apply a CSS property to it. So in our HTML file structure here, you realize that we have our a tag without the href attribute. Then we have the others, the one containing the links, all with the href attribute, but the one at the bottom has a target attribute with underscore blank. So let's proceed. So with the first attribute selector, so attributes, let's start an example. So it starts with the anchor tag, then we open and close our square brackets. Then our attribute comes in. So this um attribute selector actually selects element with a specific attribute. So we want to select the element with a href attribute. So here we want to select all the elements or the element with the href attribute. So our a tag comes first, then we open and close our square brackets, then our attribute, which is the href, comes in. Then we add our CSS styling property to it. So let's make a font size. Let's make it maybe 20 pixels. Let's see what happens. Yes, so you could see on my right hand side, all the links that were inside the href, that were having the href attribute, they their font size increased to 20 pixels. So let's move to the next one, the exact value selector. So the exact value selector selects an element with a specific attribute with an exact value. So when we go to our HTML structure, you can see that of all the links with the href attribute, this one has an exact value, that is the target is equal to underscore blank. So for this link to be selected alone, we are going to use the exact value attribute selector, and it goes like this. So we have our anchor tag, then open and close square brackets, then our attribute here is target. So target is equal to, then our exact value, which is the underscore blank. So exact value, which is the underscore blank. So let's apply a CSS property to it. So when we apply a CSS property, let's use maybe float. So let's float it to the right. So when we float it to the right, this is what we get. So if you realize that only that link was single-handedly floated to the right on our page, and that is what the exact value selector does. Let's move to the next example, which we normally call the start with selector, the start with attribute selector. What the start with attribute selector does is that it selects an element with a specific attribute whose value starts with a specific value. So with the with the start with attribute selector, it helps us select an element. So we are going to select a link, the link with a specific attribute. So the link that has the href but with a specific attribute whose value starts with a specific value. So if you look at our links with the href attribute, you realize that only one starts with the http. Only one has starts with a value of http. So for us to select only that element, the start with select attribute selector is going to help us. So we are going to go like this. We proceed our a tag because it's found inside the a tag. Then our attribute here is the href. So our href comes into play. Then it goes with a caret because the start with attribute selector deals with a caret, has a caret. Then we assign our equal to sign, then our value. So our value here is, so we want to select the link with only the one that starts with a value of http without the s. So our value here is the one with the http without the s. And let's apply our css styling property because now it has been selected. So let's make it text transform. So the text transform css property, let's capitalize it and let's see what to do. Yes, so you realize that the last link was capitalized over here. Yes, and that's what the start with does. Let's go to the next one, which is the end with. Yes, the end with is kind of similar to the start with, but has different properties. So with the ends with selector, it actually has a dollar sign. Yeah, it is a dollar sign. So what it does is that it selects elements whose attribute value ends with a specific value. So this means that we are going to select all elements or all the links here whose attribute value. So when we look at the attribute value, we want to select the links that the attribute value actually ends with a specific value. So so you can see that at the end of the href attributes, at the end of the values, you could see .com, .org, .com and .org. So we are going to select the ones that ends with .org, and the ends with attribute selector is going to help us. So we go with our sorry, with our a tag, then open our square bracket, then our attribute which we are referencing into is our href, then our dollar sign comes in. Yes, to tell us that yeah, you want to select the element which has the href value at the end, all the elements with an href value at the end. Then we bring our equal to sign, then our value is, we want to select the ones with org. So org, so let's, after selecting it, we add our css property to it, we style it. let's use uh let's use maybe um font weight. So let's make font weight. Okay, so font weight, let's make it bold. Yes, bold. Okay, yes, yes. So when we go onto our html page, you realize that the second link and the last link has been bolded, and you can see the difference because they all end with org and org. Let's try for the com, the dot com, the ones that ends with dot com, and let's see if that will also work. So dot com, yes. So when we do that for the dot com, we also realize that it also works. It will bolden the ones that end with dot com only, and that's what the end with selector does. So our I prefer us using the org. Then let's proceed to the last but not least, and also the final one we talk about in the video. That is the contain selector. So what does the contain selector do? The contain selector selects elements whose attribute values contains a specific value. So it actually select element whose attribute value contains a specific value. So when we look at our links here, okay, we want to select the links in which our href value contains a specific value. So maybe you want to select the ones, the element that has a specific value of maybe double O. So in our href value, you want to we find double O in one in google.com and W3 schools. We find two O's inside. So that means that our contain selector actually is going to help us select an element whose attribute value contains a specific value here, which is OO. So let's proceed. So our normal A tag, then our open and close square brackets, then our attribute that we are referencing to is the href. Then the href is a star, comes with a star, then equal to the value. The value is what the value is the specific value that it should find in the href attribute. Then select the link that is assigned to it. So what you want to do is that you want to select all the links that has OO in their href attribute. So OO. Then we apply our styling property to it. So here let's make it maybe let's change the color. So the text color we make it maybe red, so you can clearly see. And when we do it like this, we realize that google.com and W3 schools, their text color would have changed to red. So this is all for attribute selectors. Thank you for watching.